Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bibliomancy for Beginners, the monthly-ish book club where we talk about books. Hey, man.
Months are involved.
Months are involved.
I'm more confused by this idea that it's a book club in which we talk about books. That's not what a book club is, guys.
Hey,
Wow,
there are book clubs wherein
Gretchen
all they
immediately
do
becomes
is
a
drink
robot.
alcohol and chat about which actors they would cast in the roles if this book was a movie. They're not actually talking about the book.
Well, why would you do that? I feel like it's like when people call Barnes & Noble and they're like, hello, I'm looking for a book, and I'm like, I have none. I'm sorry.
Michaela, are you getting the same distortion on for Gretchen?
Yeah, you just got really crackly, and I don't know if it was because your headphones wiggled or something. Can you wiggle them? Because you were fine a second ago.
Hello, love
Before
me,
we
my
went live,
friends.
you were fine.
Hmm.
Talk?
Hmm.
Love me, my friends.
No, sorry, you're not allowed to talk anymore. That's a terrible noise.
Damn. Back up a little bit from the webcam, like maybe it's like peeking. Now talk.
Hello, my friends.
No, it's still doing it. I think it's an
didn't fix
internet
it.
thing.
But only
Why
when
did it
we
happen
went
when we went
live.
live?
Very professional.
So we couldn't. Yeah, see. Gretchen, even your brother's calling you out.
Yeah.
What?
Jurgen's in the YouTube chat.
You're gonna go away. Also, how do you fix it?
Sorry, he left. You can't help.
You're gonna go back.
No, that's bad.
Well, she's working on that. Yes, we're definitely a book club that talks about books and not about actors that you'd cast in the movie form of books. But
Yeah.
we talk about specific books, and this month.
And this month we even did just that and talk about a specific book that we read.
Can we do the whole live stream speaking obliquely about a specific book?
Well, in this book, there was a character and they did a thing. And I really don't know how I feel about the thing, but let's discuss this thing that happened at nighttime.
It was a very gray emotion. Like,
even the
morality
book
was gray.
hypothetical, yeah.
Hypothetically, we read a book.
Hypothetically.
And that book was Ironcast by Destiny Soria. I'm bringing us on track, guys.
Wow. This is going to be a hangout where we talk about the characters and events of the book. So, people who will worry about spoilers, hold. We will give spoiler-free overall impressions first, and then we'll tell you when we're switching over into spoiler territory. You can go away and come back once you've read the book. But we always start with the description of the book for anybody who A, doesn't care about spoilers and just wants to listen to us chat, because that's always fun, or B, has already read the book and wants to listen to us chat, because that's always fun. Yeah? Good. Okay.
There you go.
I'm going to give my best announcer voice here. Not announcer, descriptor voice. Audiobook reader voice. In 1919, Ada Navarra, the intrepid daughter of immigrants, and Corinne Wells, a spunky, devil-may-care heiress, make an unlikely pair, but at the Cast Iron nightclub in Boston, anything and everything is possible. At night, on stage together, the two best friends whose afflicted, it's in quotes, afflicted blood gives them the ability to create illusions through art to weave magic under the employ of Johnny Dervish, the club's owner and notorious gangster. By day, Ada and Corinne use those same skills to con the city's elite in an attempt to keep the club afloat. When a job, in quotes, goes awry and Ada is in prison, she realizes they're on the precipice of danger. Only Corinne, her partner in crime, can break her out of Haversham Asylum. But once Ada is out, they face betrayal at every turn.
Yeah.
That was that.
I feel like that is so misleading because I read that and all of a sudden the book opens and it was like, bam, she's in the asylum. Bam, she's getting broken.
Okay.
I was like, I mean, we can go through spoiler-free impressions first, but like I have feelings about this plot,
Yeah.
It's gonna be very hard, Gretchen, with that distortion, but we have no choice. Okay.
You will survive, Taylor.
It's so hard to listen to. On top of Gretchen's infuriating opinions.
Oh no.
At least I read your book this time. Shut up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We're all here. We've read the book. That's great.
Yep.
I I am sometimes here without having read the book. I'm sorry, my life is horrible.
So you didn't appreciate the sort of middle of the action?
And media
No?
res.
Sorry.
Hold.
Well, yeah, okay.
Hold. Spoiler-free stuff first. Just your overall impression. That's all I want. And then we can get back to this.
I thought the opening chapter.
We're putting a sticky
Spoiler.
note. We're putting a sticky note. We're gonna get back.
Okay.
I promise. You can ask your question, but Gretchen, overall impression.
Okay. Hey, does my voice sound better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I changed my mic, so hopefully it has
so much
stopped.
better.
So I found this book to have a very, very interesting idea. And I loved the idea of the setting plus the blood powers that were so different than I was used to, plus the intersection of like race and class, like all of these things. As I was reading, I was like, this is such a cool idea. And then the plot just did it damage as far as I was concerned. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed this book. I gave it like 3 stars. So it wasn't, I don't think that it was terrible, but the plot for me was what did me in. And the characters I never came to care anything about because there were too many of them and all of the back characters were interchangeable. But the thing that bothered me the most was the plot like being like, and twist, and twist, and twist. And after a while, when there's just so many twists to the plot, it just starts feeling interesting. And just like, oh my God, what is happening now? I feel like if we had taken fewer characters and half the twists, I would have been able to sink into the world more. And this is coming from me, who really, really wants my books to be super fast paced. Like, that's what I'm here for all the time. Like, when I say that I got just like, oh my God, this plot, yo, slow down. When I say that, there's an issue, yo. There's an issue.
Yo, John's rubbing off on you, yo, because you're so gangsta. Yo.
What?
You literally said yo like 3 times in one sentence. I don't know if you realized it.
There were a few.
Yeah.
You're welcome. That's what I get for dating the hood.
That's what I said. John's rubbing off on you. Yo.
He's whiter than I am.
You so gangster, yo.
Michaela, could I follow up on Gretchen's thing with my opinion first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because unfortunately, for like the 2nd or 3rd meeting in a row, I agree with Gretchen.
Woohoo!
Which
we're
yes.
still like
not terrible. Yeah, we do. Just bad horn noises. We'll pretend those happen.
I just had my bad white girl dancing. I'm ready. There you go.
Yes. I agree that I really loved the setup of this. I actually think I definitely liked the characters more than Gretchen. I think I was able to handle a few more than she might have, especially the core cast. I enjoyed. I felt good about them. And their arcs that we won't quite get into just yet, but I felt good about all of that. I think it wasn't even necessarily that there were too many twists, of which there were many, but that there were just, it could have been slimmed down in several key scenes and kept all the same content, but it would have flowed so much more clearly and would have executed those surprises a lot better. And that definitely harmed it in the long run. I will say this came out as a 4-star book for me just because I did find the conceit of the magic to be so compelling for me. It was something I really enjoyed, and I really liked the writing around that. And so that bumped it up for me. And that
I'm not questioning the rating I gave it. Hang on, I have to check this now.
I think you did give it 3. No, I think she gave it 3 because I just added mine today because I realized I hadn't done that yet. But I never.
And then I followed 18 seconds after you.
What? 18 whole seconds? In sync.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's because you reminded me, and I happened to be looking at my.
I did give it 3. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that's my overall thing. I liked a lot of it. I definitely think it got a little too caught up in itself. Could have used another pass of editing.
I guess I will go now. I also gave it 3 stars, which I think I briefly mentioned there. I agree with Taylor that the strongest point for me was the magic and the writing around how the magic worked. That was my favorite part of the book. Like, anytime
100%.
that was happening,
It was a
like,
very cool thing.
yeah, it was very well written. It was very well imagined and put together, and like all of that was just interesting. But for me, I just did not care as I'm reading this book. I like, even with the protagonists, and I wanted to discuss this because I think part of that was how we started the book, that I didn't feel like I got time to like really connect with these characters before I was supposed to already feel for them and like things that were happening in their life. And I didn't. And then that just persisted throughout the rest of the book, for me, at least, as a reader.
Sure.
Oh my god, okay, I have something to answer that with, but I have to wait till we answer the spoiler section. So
Okay.
I'm a sticky note.
So that was my reason for 3 stars, was that it wasn't a bad book, but it wasn't a great book, and it was just kind of, it was okay. It was okay book.
You know, it could have been slower in the beginning, and definitely needed work at the end.
Yeah.
I think though, to say something about just like Destiny's writing though in particular, it's the kind of book that I would give 3 stars, but should she put out another book, I would be interested in reading it.
She's got a new one coming out this year.
Yeah, okay.
Is this the first one?
Yes, it's her debut.
This is her debut.
Yeah.
She's got one coming out first half of the year. I don't know anything about it though.
Is it like part of a series? Is it another one in this one, or is it a
No,
totally
it's
new?
different.
It definitely sounds like a standalone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this one like has the potential to be a series, but wasn't completely.
Yeah, I'm glad she doesn't seem.
I'm also. Oh my god. Okay, another sticky note. I really want to talk about the ending because like that was just a compounded headache as well.
Okay.
So
the last 70 pages became a bit of a slog.
Okay. Well,
it also had 2 endings.
Don't you love it when it ends and then it ends again?
It was so weird.
Well, one was an ending, and then one was like, okay, yes, I see. This is a more complete ending.
Okay. Can we kick away the people who don't
now
want
that
spoilers?
you know our thoughts, and if you're like interested in like world building and magic systems and things like this might be a good one to read just for the interesting magic
And
stuff.
Jazz Age Boston.
Jazz Age Boston. Jazz Age. Jazz Age Boston. Let's use the Jazz Age Boston.
Jesus, some crow. All right. Okay.
Yes, as the Japanese would put it, which is pertinent in this discussion.
Hey man, I was studying Korean earlier, so my pronunciation's not quite on point. Yeah, that, and it might be worthwhile. It's maybe not the best YA fantasy out there. There's definitely other ones, but if you're a fan of the genre or you're a fan of certain elements, it might be worth reading. If you
also, I mean, again, I think it's
a unique niche. Go on.
I said it shouldn't be understated that, I mean, again, Ada is African American. It deals with the topic of immigration, of race in the 1920s, of class in the 1920s, all of which I think, again, could have been explored better. But are another. Yeah, but I mean, it's another thing that what I loved about this novel was that it's so niche. It's so different. I felt like I hadn't read the story told quite this way before. Which is, I mean, I read so much YA, like that never happens.
Primarily female friendship with like very little romance at all. Like
that was very refreshing. You know, it was a very reasonable, realistic take on romance when it did.
Yeah,
it definitely didn't bind itself to the wheel of YA romance.
And then we were lovers forever. Continuing. So, if you don't want to be spoiled and you would like to read the book, because there's elements of it that are worth reading, feel free to go away and come back when you want to. If you want to continue to listen to us talk, that's fine too, or if you've already read the book. Now we're going to be talking about spoilers, so be warned.
So, I want to answer your point about the book beginning in media res and then not caring.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm okay with starting in media res. Like for me personally, like I don't like a huge amount of buildup. I get bored. So like that wasn't a super problem for me. But when the book itself, like for instance, when Saint is introduced and it keeps going backwards, of like, this is what they were like when they were children. Like, if you have to tell me so many times that, like, this is the backstory to their, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely feel
like
when it came to Saint.
And I stopped caring, like, because aside from Corinne and Ada, whose friendship I believe, because it was shown to me, like, throughout the course of the book, and that I enjoyed, like, I felt like every other character we were told, we have this past with them, this is why they are important to our past, and I was like, you're just telling me facts that I don't feel.
Yeah.
You know, the entire backstory of almost every single character was told and not shown.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel it. So like the betrayal at the end, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
like I didn't care. And I felt like it was purposely because the book kept trying to tell me this person is so important to me. This is so important to our past. And I was like, it's me this hard. I am not convinced.
I think the other thing, which we briefly mentioned when I was reading that description, is that it's like until she gets locked up in an asylum, and then we open with her in the asylum, which is like, no, I want to see why she's in the asylum. I want to know like what caused it, and like I know that this is all revealed.
I wanted to see the Bengali banker incident so much,
but like that's action that we didn't get to see, and instead we get angst beginning. Which tried to be action.
The idea of like starting off with, you know, Saint betraying her. Like that would have been so much more potent to me, and is potent to the novel. And I don't know if it's like they forgive him because he's the painter ex machina of the end, but like
I never got to either like or trust Saint because I never had any reason to do otherwise. Because we didn't really get that establishment of his character before. It's just kind of like this weird thing. And because he isn't in most of the story because they don't trust him.
Yeah.
And so we just don't ever get to see anything like that. I was able to deal with the plot well enough, and I guess I filled in enough gaps with, what's his name? I've already forgotten.
I don't remember. I finished this a couple weeks ago.
The Johnny Dervish.
That club owner.
I filled enough gaps with their like mentor relationship with him that I guess I got the turnaround, but she spoiled that for like no reason the chapter before. He does his turn. Like they have the opposite club owner saying like maybe you shouldn't be trusting him. And then 20 pages later he like stabs someone. I'm like, we don't need to you don't need to see
that guy
that
looks like he might
before.
stab someone.
Like
and then he
you can see
stabs
that
someone.
at the beginning and set us up for like some uncertainty there, or you just don't do it at all and it lands. But
yeah, and
that's why so many of the
stubs her toe the moment before.
That's why so many of the twists felt dull to me, because they didn't feel earned. They just felt like she wanted to throw another aha moment at us, and then it was like, aha, he is in fact a traitor, or aha, he has stabbed someone.
Yeah, like
or
they all work with the story, but they're never paced and established in the way that, well, not never. Definitely they do well enough sometimes. Like the end one. But yeah.
Which end one?
I have a question for you guys about twists
I didn't want to interrupt
in books. As someone who reads a lot of horror and mystery type books, twists are a very big part of a lot of those genres. Not quite to the extent as they were in this one. Usually there's like one or two twists. But the thing that bothered me about the twists in this book was, rather than the twists being integrated into the story of like the characters going along and being surprised, this felt like the author trying to twist the reader. So you understand what I'm saying? Where it was like the author purposely leaving out information or writing it in such a way that it would lead the reader to go, oh, so shocking, I didn't even notice, versus like the characters being like, oh, so shocking, I didn't even notice.
Which moments do you specifically have in mind?
I mean, we could use the first twist, which happens in like between chapter 1 and 2, which is this new nurse at this asylum is actually not the nurse at all, and is in fact breaking her friend out.
Mm-hmm. That's the one moment where I was willing to go along with it, because that is a fun turnabout.
I guess, but
for me, it was a fun turnabout.
Okay.
Rather than like climactic moments of the plot where it's just kind of vague.
Which was also a thing, but like that set a trend, which then continued for all of the rest of the
That's definitely a valid way to regard it.
Does that make sense?
Gretchen? It does make sense, yes.
Do you just have glare feelings? Gretchen?
You started cutting out on my end a bit, so I was piecing together what you said. No, sorry. I mean, I agree. I agree with Taylor that I think because I knew from the description that someone was going to break her out when the nurse thing was revealed. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But like, for me, like for instance, the sticking point was like, bad guy, waha, and I was like, I mean, and seated so much better than it was. Mm-hmm. And like just a bunch of other things that just felt, I hate saying this, but it feels like, you know, when you're a novel and you, the author, like write up to a certain point and you get stuck, and the best thing you can do is like have someone, you know what I mean? Someone die, someone betray, like, because you're stuck and you got to keep going.
Right. You create an event that a lot of pushes the characters. Yeah.
Exactly. That's how I felt like a lot of these were, that they were created events for the plot, not for the characters. And that's why I stopped caring about the characters too, because it just felt like the characters were inhabiting the plot, not causing the plot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this book was torn between wanting to be a action-packed kind of criminal underground period piece and being kind of not really a social examination, but being a lot more interested in the social repercussions of this element she's introduced to history. And when you get a 300-page YA novel, you can't really do both to their full effect.
Yeah.
If you try to balance them. And I think that might be why we had two different endings, because one ties up their isolated story within this world. And then it's like, oh shit, now I've introduced all these things that we can't just leave open.
Especially like, if it's going to be a novel and not a series. It needs to have...
Exactly. Like, okay, well shit, what about all these hemopaths in this situation that's happening? Like, this is all very compelling, and I can't really just leave it by the wayside. I guess I'm going to have to write another 50 pages.
Am I the only one that read hemopath almost every single time as homeopath and had to correct myself?
Yes.
Because I was just
these like... weird broth drinkers.
I know. I was like...
No, and I think that's what really super frustrated me too, because there were a lot of things that were introduced very purposefully. Like Ada's mom, for example. You know, she just... This is going to sound bad, but she just could have been like an African-American living in the 1920s, but she was an African-American daughter of a woman, you know, who still didn't speak too much English, whose father was in prison for something he didn't do. And then you have Corinne, who could have just been an orphan. YA is full of orphans, but like, you know, she was the white daughter of a rich person whose brother was marrying the, you know, the daughter of the man who started the asylum. And it's just like, there were really, really smart class issues and race issues, immigration, like how, you know, Gabriel's mom and he, Russian, political issues, like with the socialists, and all of it was so deliberate in a way.
And so interesting.
Yes, exactly, and so interesting. And I was like, oh my god, because all of this is so deliberate and it's so interesting, this all has to go somewhere. And then the twist is that because Gabriel's a socialist, he's gonna, twist on him, I guess, and then come back in the end and be okay. But like, it didn't. Like Ada's storyline, Corinne never has any repercussions. Like her family finds out what she is, and then you realize that all along her mom has known.
Yeah, I think that was fun. I was fine with that because it was more these girls learning more about the worlds they inhabit as being not simply more complicated, but like, oh, okay, I don't have to be a YA character without a family. I can actually be part of people's lives, and that's okay. And take care of myself and not go into bad relationships because I'm in a YA novel.
But I mean, that's the thing, though. If you introduce all these elements and there's no repercussions, like I think the fact that Ada is African American comes up like twice.
Yeah.
One time they went into the shop, but otherwise, like there's no.
It's not.
It is also
the
because
world
they don't
react to it.
They don't really interact with anyone they haven't known for years, except for a few specific moments.
I guess,
Ada
but
doesn't
again,
get out very much.
Like you just, I guess for me, like if you drop all those super specific details, you have to do something with them, especially because that's what I'm interested in. I didn't come to watch them, race away in a car from an asylum to a certain extent. I came because you promised me all these elements and you've given me all these elements, and then you're just like, surprise, Johnny's evil.
Yeah,
like,
we got a lot of very interesting social elements, and as we got more of them and they became more fleshed out, I got less and less interested in the Johnny Dervish plot. But the Johnny Dervish plot was the one that needed to be resolved.
That was the plot.
That was the plot we were in a book for, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
yes,
I don't know how to like pose this because it's I assumed from the beginning that they were like Robin Hood type people, right? Like they it's sort of touted they steal from the rich to give to the people who need it, which is their ragtag family of sorts.
Do they really do that though?
That's the question I had. It was like, do they?
Do they even frame it like that? I thought it was just we steal from the rich to keep ourselves going.
No, they do, because that's what they do. They steal from people who deserve it, because that's what Corinne tells Gabriel when he's like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, no, we're moral thieves.
Immoral.
Well, no, they don't have the second half of that, is all I'm saying. Like, sure, they can be like, oh yeah, we're going to steal from these, like, asshole politicians or that banker who I know is cheating on his wife now, so I don't feel bad about it.
Are you secretly like, Dexter?
They don't ever like give the money away to anyone but their boss. So
it's like for their, but like that's what I'm saying. It's for their like makeshift family unit, which is this bar that they care about, and I'm sure it's on hard times because it's Prohibition era or something. But like.
Well, yes, that is actually a major component of this plot. But
right. But
Hemopaths are not allowed to perform
just
anymore.
Let people drink.
And the alcohol's gone away, so the two sources of income for this club are being
why go to a club if you can't drink?
It is a reasonable setup that I didn't have a problem with for why we steal. I'm like, this is clear.
Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't. I don't know.
The government.
I thought it was trying to say something with the fact that they were like just thieves. And while there's that one moment where Corinne tries to justify it to Gabriel, there's also the moment when Ada's talking to Charlie and she's like, I've just been a bad person. And I thought it was for the right reasons, but I've just been a bad person. And I thought that was actually a more powerful thing. That was just like, you didn't make your protagonist a Robin Hood character. Yeah. You made protagonists that realizes like they thought that they had the moral high ground and then come to the realization of like,
wait, they're
No.
impressionable children being
Yeah.
pushed to do illegal activities by a mobster?
Through emotional extortion?
Yeah.
Yeah, it also did, Gretchen, I agree, and made me feel better about the ending, where the easy initial ending where it's like, and we're, Prohibition's a year away, they're going to close this club down, but we're going to go out with a bang. We're going to keep doing this for as long as we can. And that would have felt good, but when you kind of looked into it, it would have been like, oh, they're still feeding
Oh
into
no, I was
these.
getting so mad. I was like, they're 16-year-old children who apparently now have this property that legally was not left to them, and they're running. And I was like, no, you can't tell me this. No, I refuse.
No.
No, not when half this novel has dealt with legal and laws and you know what I mean.
Mm.
It's one thing if they lived in a la-di-da world where sure they can run this, but no, so much of it had been legal government laws, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you can't sell this to me. And then it was like, surprise, second ending. And I was like, okay, I mean,
and
I
then
guess.
arson.
And then arson. But I mean, for me at that point, it just felt like so much. That last, that second ending just felt like
it was a lot in very little time.
Is it one of those things where, I mean, it's not quite the same as the second ending to Deathly Hallows, where you get the flash forward, but it's still tying up things that people would have questions about? Do you have similar feelings in that?
And that's just where are they now montage?
Which I hated. I didn't want it.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's awful.
The second ending was important. I think the problem was that they tied up the initial ending a little too nicely in a way that it became an ending instead of just
if that had just been if I had a sense going in towards that last party that they were this is the last hurrah, some kind of acknowledgement of we can't hold on to this club, or the authorities are coming to put it into escrow. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because who legally owned the property now that Johnny was dead?
Yeah.
Where
think
did
they
it go?
needed a transition chapter between those two.
Yeah. And then it was surprise, Johnny's back, surprise, arson, and you're just
yeah.
I was ready to go home.
I just want to say, the actor fake out at the end, that then he bluffs, and spoiler alert again, just kills Johnny. That was a really good fake out.
It was. I will give you
And
that.
was
If
pulled
only
off
I
well.
wasn't upset that the only character to actually die in the shenanigans was the character you knew was going to die because she wasn't important to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even I didn't care when she died.
I mean, the lot of them could have gone up in smoke, and I would have just been I mean,
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know, the door guard with his cat, Michaela obviously would have loved him, so he had to die.
Yeah, I know.
I was reading it this guy's totally Michaela's favorite. Does not bode well.
Death flag. Death flag. Death flag.
Wow, this guy just likes eating sunflower seeds and secretly loves his cat.
Not so secretly loves his cat.
Gonna die.
I live a cursed life, folks. Never live my life. Not worth it.
Yeah. I don't know. I want this to be 100 pages longer. And then also parts of this slimmed and smoothed out.
I was gonna say, I want it to be 100 pages longer with half as many elements.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. That would be the perfect book.
Yeah, that would be great. Because again, I loved it, and also I think we brought this up earlier. I loved that there was, just it was really about female friendship.
Yep.
And I just read.
Would love to see more of that.
Yeah, I just read Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and the whole thing on the back is that it promises to be a tale about sisters who are fighting for each other. And then, in the first 2 chapters, one of the sisters is kidnapped, and the other sister is partnered with a boy to go save her. And I'm this was not the story I was promised, damn it. And so I love that this stuck to it. It was really about Corinne and Ada and like their friendship. And Ada already had a beau, and that was uncomplicated except for the fact that, you know, she's young and young love is like weird and awkward. So
It was uncomplicated, except for all the reasons that it was very complicated.
yeah, but like it was complicated in a way that felt natural of like,
Yeah, like,
and it didn't impact the plot super much. It was just like, this is happening off to the
They
side.
didn't have a fake breakup. They started dating, they continued dating, they worked out their problems.
Like it was amazing. And then
I can't
like
think of the last YA book that has done that.
I mean, I was kind of just like, I knew Corinne and Gabriel were coming. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, this feels more annoying. But like it didn't impact the plot as much as you might expect a YA novel to just be like overblown by a romance. It really kept to Ada and Corinne and their story and left the dudes at the periphery. And I was just like,
and it ended with them both making responsible, like very believable, but also just hell decisions about those boys.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
Great.
I mean, it's
just thank goodness.
Yeah,
That's
no,
fair.
I honestly kept on sitting there waiting for like something to happen with Charlie and Gabriel. And I was like, something's gonna happen, it's gonna end up being, you know what I mean? Like we're just waiting for like,
and then suddenly it's a whole issue.
yeah. And then it wasn't. And I was like, you know what? It's super nice about this.
Saying Gabriel and Charlie stick together, and then it's an issue between the two friends.
Do you want to talk about the magic since we all liked that?
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know what we have to say about the magic.
That's my question. I was like, I don't know what to say, but
I mean, I don't know.
Do magic through poetry or song?
My magic would be through neither of those. It would be through interpretive dates.
You sure you wouldn't be the art one?
No, I'd be the art one. I'm not. I was trying to make a joke, but
No. Put those away.
We don't make jokes here. We don't have fun. This is strict discussion. This is academic.
I just like to imagine somebody doing really modern interpretive dance in the 1920s, and everybody being like,
honestly, that would be the time to get away with it.
Probably.
I don't know.
Right.
I think I said this earlier, but I felt like it was something new. Like it's certainly like blood magic isn't new. Like making like none of it in its separate parts was new, but I felt like in the way that they were put together,
such a cohesive system around artistic expression being a channel,
and also tying into like the idea that art is both coveted and sort of taboo in some ways because it makes you think. It's not quite understandable. It's not math.
Especially jazz music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it matches the time really well too. Yeah, so I just like, it was one of those things where it felt like I was reading something unique to that book, and that was one of the most enjoyable things of the whole book.
Yeah.
Except for my own personal imaginings about the Bengali banker incident. I wanted to see that so bad.
I don't think anything was lost, but just like leaving that as this mythical thing.
I know that it wasn't, but I want Destiny to write the fan fiction.
Yeah,
you want a Carry On, but
no, not like that. I just want like a short story. I want
as trashy and just like as indulgent as possible. Whatever she wants, just
it also just has Dumbledore in it because I don't know.
Yeah,
we all agree. It was well done. It fit well. It was maybe the most interesting part of the book.
Yes. I am definitely waiting. Oh, go on, Gretchen.
No, I was just gonna say that like if she announced that she was gonna write a new book in the same world, I'd be like, I'll pre-order that shit. Give me.
Yeah, no,
Like I would be there 100%. And I think that's the difference between a three-star book that you want to read more on, and a three-star book that I don't, because that kind of a 3 stars is super in the middle.
Yeah.
And
it means a lot. It's a very gray area.
Yeah, but it's saying I'm ready for it to be better. Like,
yeah.
It's a 3-star with a caveat. But no, I was just going to say, in the same vein as you, Gretchen, that I'm absolutely ready for a sequel in which, Ada one evening, flips on her light and Corin's sitting there with an eye patch and a cigar calling her in for one last job.
She doesn't need the eye patch, and the cigar's not lit, but it's there.
It's like Ocean's 11 for YA right now.
I wanted more heist stuff.
Yeah, like that could have been fun. Like, because those are just well done sequences. But then again, there's already too much in this book, and
yeah, I agree though. I was not ready. I was ready for Ocean's 11. I was not ready for the murder mystery. Like when all of a sudden they were like, boom, Johnny's dead, and now the entire book is figuring out why he got murdered. I was just like,
he got murdered because he's a mobster, motherfucker.
Well,
this is not what I expected.
Figure it out. It's just like always on the defense, and that gets a bit tiring.
Yeah,
he's always like running from the newest complication.
The whole thing felt like
it doesn't have to be, but yeah. That might.
But I mean, like the whole thing definitely was, despite how like we were constantly being told like how smart Corinne was and how powerful Ada was, it just always felt like they were constantly in over their head, which can be written that way to make a point. But again, when like there's twist after twist after thing, and they always are just like, yeah, we're on top of this, and it's just like you're clearly in over your head. Please stop.
Yeah.
Sweet children, realize you are children.
All right, I think that's all I've got.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. It was okay,
but like pretty fun, pretty good.
I mean,
yeah, it was like the kind of okay where I don't feel like I wasted several hours of my life reading it.
It was okay with a little positive sign on it, and not okay and a little negative sign. It had a little positive sign. Positive, okay. Okay plus.
We'll have to see what her new book is and consider that.
Yeah, I would definitely consider it. Okay, if we're done with Ironcast, I have to sneeze. No, never mind. It doesn't want to sneeze. Next cycle, so our next 3 picks, which is the start of the 6th season, if you care to know, our 6th year, we'll be doing own voices books. So we've picked particular books that are written by, which have characters that have particular elements that are written by people who also have those attributes attributed to them. So if it's a person of color in the book, it's a person of color who's writing it. If it's a gay romance book, the author is gay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The idea being that we're shining a light on people who are telling their own stories or stories similar to theirs rather than the imagined stories of a cis white male female person who is imagining another way of being, right? Etc. The first one is my pick, and it's Every Heart a Doorway. And it's wicked short. It's like under 200 pages. And is
That's what I need to hear right now.
Yeah, unlike some people. It's wicked short. We are going to be reading it this January. We have like 2 weeks. Again, it's under 200 pages. It's pretty popular right now, so it's also topical, which could be fun. So there might be folks who've actually are either already read it or are reading it or have planned to read it, and this is an excuse to read it. That's a good one. If you would like to know our future reads, because Every Heart a Doorway doesn't sound like your type of book, you can always head over to our Goodreads, which is linked below, which has our next few books constantly shown there. So you can see that too. You can also find our old episodes there if you want to see some of the other books that we've discussed in the past. because we've been doing this for going on 6 years now.
Oh, Lord.
I feel so old right now.
And book club.
It's a lot of book club.
Oh my god.
It's a fair amount of book club. Yeah, so usually this
We're consistently inconsistent. Woohoo!
True. And hopefully we won't push that guy back, because again, it's super short. There really is no reason to push it back unless one of us can't get our hands on it for some reason or another. But it should be readily available in libraries and bookstores near you. Yeah, that's all I got. Anything else that we want to talk about? No?
Nope.
All
I
right.
think we're good.
And we will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye, guys.
Bye.